What would you say to that surgeon now, if you could chat to him, if he was here?
Subscribe to my channel.
Carnivore.
Yeah. I want to be very clear about this because a lot of people take this the wrong way. I don't have a colon, right? And where my bag starts is where my colon would begin. If I did have my colon, which I have had, I didn't know any of this stuff. So what I will say now with having the bag is not what I would have said before when I had my colon. When food enters your colon, your body is going to reabsorb all of the water and the sodium, and it's being condensed, and the color is just all the same. And when you go for a poop, even if you looked, you might see some peas and corn and sweet, stuff like that. I think everybody has. You don't see meat. You still see some sort of evidence of the plants, but you're not going to see it to the extent that I do because it comes out as a liquid. You won't find any recognizable meat.
Yeah.
You won't see, oh, that's lamb. It's just like liquid. And the way I would describe it to people is take Weetabix or something or a grain, very dry, crush it to a dust, pour this dust into a bag, pour water into that bag enough so that the content can't absorb all the water.
Okay.
So it's quite liquidy.
Quite saturated.
Right. That's what it all looks like. All meat, eggs, dairy, all this stuff. The colour might change if I have more dairy, but the consistency is liquid because our stomach acid being very, very low, highly acidic, 1.4 to 2, breaks this stuff down to a liquid. No problem whatsoever. It's supposed to. And we do that in less than 2 hours. Yeah. If you were to eat a meal, 2 hours later, it's liquid in your body. Now, obviously, then it goes into small intestine. We absorb the nutrients. Then it would hit the colon or hit my bag. So as it's hitting my bag, plants, for example, if I had a Sunday roast, you're seeing the colours, you're seeing these structures. And if I were to cut, I always use the same example. If I was to cut a pyramid shape into a piece of pineapple, mango, the broccoli stem, mushroom, and just swallowed that will not change whatsoever as it enters your colon. That's the exact state that it's in. So we'll go down into your stomach, your small intestine, out your ileum, hits the colon in complete tact, basically. Because I had seen it, and you start to think, it is strange I'm seeing all these plants, right? But, being silly in the evening, you order a pizza and something, and you've got mushroom on there. And you're just chowing it down. You're probably not even really chewed that part of the mushroom. All of a sudden, I'm having to push above my stomach to allow, because it's a problem, it's getting blocked, push this out and boom, there's a mushroom. There's the mushroom in the bag. It doesn't change, A whole mushroom. If you swallow a mushroom, that's not going to change. It will not break down. It's just like eating rubber.
You saw a mushroom go into your bag?
Baby button mushroom, yeah.
I'm speechless.
Yeah, that's how it, and at the very top of the list as well, in this little booklet that I took home, foods that might cause you problems, gas. Mushrooms are right at the top. So I always put them at the very top, and they're not like fibrous plants, they're different, but all plants are the same. So if you cut a pyramid shape into a mango, people say, oh, mango's not that fibrous. It's very, very fibrous.
You can see the stringy bits.
It's super fibrous, but they might say, oh, it's really high in soluble or insoluble. It's like, it doesn't matter. All of it goes into the toilet. We don't break that down, that both block nutrients, both cause issues with digestion, both create gas. There's nothing good about this. And if I've got a bag and I just ate loads of mushrooms and onions, I remember having an Indian takeaway right before I went carnivore. This quite a few times, and this is almost always the case. I would wake up and put my hand in my bag, and it's just balloon full of air. It's just air, all from the mushrooms and the onions and everything that they would put into a curry. All of this stuff that's so gas promoting.
You would have just farted that out, basically.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. And so it's interesting. I can see what the most fibrous plants are, the things that don't break down, the things that create the most gas. It's all plants. Yeah. Meat doesn't create a lot of gas at all. In fact, really, the only gas that I will produce in the bag now will be for eating, taking the air down, not through not through the food being
while
digested.
You're eating or something.
Exactly. For the first time, I'm sort of thinking, this is really weird. Why have I not questioned this before? Because even before I went carnivore, I had the bag. I never found chicken. I never found pork. I never found beef. I never found lamb. I always found the plants, always. Yeah. And because it's quite liquidy, because my colon hasn't had the chance, because I don't have one, to reabsorb the water, you see the colours, you see the shapes. You can identify clearly. I mean, if I had a roast dinner, say today, and I saw you and just showed you through the peek window, you'd be able to tell, oh, right, so you've eaten broccoli, sweet corn. You would be able to tell me what I've eaten in terms of plants, but you wouldn't be able to tell me what I've eaten in terms of animal products. Wow. Because it's liquefied completely.
It's cheese as well.
Cheese,
that kind of stuff.
It's a little bit thicker. Yeah. It will stodge the consistency up a little bit, but it comes out as a liquid, It's a thicker liquid, a slightly more yellowy liquid, but liquid nonetheless. We are breaking this stuff down. And the important thing to realize is that if our stomach breaks this stuff down, we absorb the nutrients. If the stomach doesn't break the stuff down, how can we really absorb? So, for example, like gluten. Yeah.
Yeah, carry on gluten.
So, in terms of gluten, obviously, when it enters the stomach, we don't break the bonds of the proteins like we do animal proteins, right? All the individual amino acids that are liberated now can be uptaken in the small intestine. It's only up to about a chain of 3 peptides that we can absorb at any time. You've got these complicated structures of gluten and things like lectins that they go through the stomach the same, traveling around in a system that they don't belong in. If the gluten, we can't digest that stuff, then by definition, all grains not fit for a human diet, because there are now, if we're eating whole grain brown rice, for example, we've just eaten the fiber, we won't break down. Plant proteins, gluten. Just because you don't have celiac disease doesn't mean that you're not getting that problem from gluten. And now this gluten structure is traveling through the small intestine. It can't be absorbed. Now it's damaging microvilli. So now you're going to absorb less nutrients because your capacity to pull in nutrients is deteriorating because of the same protein.
Yeah.
It's going to cause potentially permeability in the gut if you're that way inclined.
Yeah.
And now you've set off autoimmunity.
Yeah.
And that's just a plant protein. And then there's the fiber. Then there's these other issues that can, from plants. It seems that anything that causes permeability comes from plants. You can't find a material in a cow that would destroy your colon and destroy your gut. But that's what we've been told. And so it's interesting,
It's the exact opposite,
I'm seeing the opposite. The red meat couldn't possibly cause inflammation in the colon if it doesn't make the colon.
Yeah.
It's liquefied. It's been reabsorbed. It's now it's waste in the form of liquid. You now reabsorb the water and the sodium.
Yeah.
And it's just pure waste, which is minimal, which is why a lot of people think that they have constipation.
Yeah.
Because it takes a while for there to be enough waste for you to now get sick. I need to go to the toilet. If you're not experiencing pain, you haven't.
That's quite a common thing on transitioning to carnivore, isn't it? People think they've got constipation. It's actually that they don't realize that they need to go as much.
Exactly.
And that's all, and everything's fine.
Yeah. From day one, we've based our diets around red meat and anything we can get our hands on, really. But if you think about it as opportunists, what's available all year round? Is it the animals or is it plants?
Yeah.
Yeah, you might have a plant to eat that's available all year round if you're lucky. If you live in certain parts, you might be more lucky. But animals are available all year round, and animals got us through. Animals is where we get the nutrition, where we base our diets on. The other things, up to you. Yeah. I wouldn't recommend it. Because we make all the glucose we need. We don't need fiber to feed the gut. That's just a myth,
Yeah.
If anyone thinks that fiber, and I've even had this in comments of videos, try to break it down, trying to be super clear, and then you still get, no, but fiber.
Yeah.
And it's really strange that you can't get through to some people. Those people, no one can help. For anyone else who's open-minded, who's willing to actually listen to reason, fiber is non-essential. By definition, you don't ever need to consume any fiber. Fiber, the bone structure of plants, is what props plants upright. This robust structure is basically sugar that doesn't break down. We don't digest. And if it's not something that you can digest, it will be inflammatory. It will cause potentially gut issues and then ripple out and cause multiple other issues. The argument really on their side, fiber's not for us, it's for our gut. Fair enough, true, to a point, right? So why is that then? Because I think these people need to question, what is it then about how we're feeding the gut? What is it about fiber? So once fiber reaches the gut, the organisms that reside there partially ferment this material, which will also cause you all your gas problems and things like this, sometimes obstructions, constipation, diarrhea. But in this process of fermentation, organisms that reside there generate short-chain fatty acids during this fermentation process. Short-chain fatty acids are saturated fats, which they're against. So it's straight away a contradiction, because when we're talking about saturated fats and now ketones, not sugar or fiber or plant materials. Short-chain fatty acids are generated, and then those have to be converted into ketones first before nourishing the cells that line the colon, the colonocytes. It's ketones now, not sugar, right? Not carbohydrates of any sort. And so if it's ketones and we're in nutritional ketosis on either a ketogenic diet or a carnivore diet, we are getting the exact same benefits, though you are nourishing all of the cells rather than just the ones that come in contact with the fiber and vice versa kind of thing. And you're nourishing yourself with the best food. It's like an all-in-one stop. Every edible plant in one bowl doesn't do what just a piece of fatty red meat does.
Yeah.
You don't even have to eat all these whole plant foods that you don't really enjoy eating. And you can eat a steak and eggs. Yeah. You'll be better off. You'll have a healthier gut.
Yeah. That's what when I went carnivore, very, very quickly, stopped all flatulence, stopped burping, just gone straight away. And I remember earlier you said, when you have a meal, sometimes you feel this kind of gurgling almost, like the movement and the sound and the bubbling. I get nothing. Yeah. Absolutely nothing. I guess it's the same for you now.
Yeah.
Also.
As far as I can understand, your colon was essentially blasted away.
I had gone close to 20 times a day.
To the bathroom 20 times in one day. My God.
I was at home and I flared up, and something about this flare, I knew it was the last time. Everything that these guys gave me didn't work at all. They came in and they said, I'm sorry, tomorrow morning, come down with us and we're going to take your colon out. I always say that I have to ask my bag permission to do anything.
Yeah.
It's the boss now. This is when I first really knew what depression was. Sometimes you do these things in the moment and then you calm down, you think, Lee, what are you doing? I could share all sorts of things. I slowly discovered that certain plant foods were causing me real issues, and I developed like a love-hate relationship with food. The first 30 days was just a challenge. BBBE. After 3 weeks, my depression was gone. The way I saw the world, it was like being reborn. You don't need fibre to feed the gut. That's just a myth. If I was to cut a pyramid shape into a piece of pineapple and just swallowed that will not change whatsoever as it enters your colon.
It's not taught at university, I can say that firsthand.
We've been lied to about everything. It's hard to not be a little bit bitter because I feel like I've been failed. I'm done. I'm never going back.
Welcome to the Dr. Abs podcast. Today I have, I think it's fair to say, the most extraordinary person I've ever spoken to in my life. His name is Lee Copus.